So, do you have like a sort of vivid sort of memory of when you came round, or what happened?
I remember right up to the point where the car went over, and I thought, well, that's that then. Because
and was there a sense of, because I've never really spoken to anyone who had such a kind of near-death experience and then, lived it to sort of survive. You always hear about the sort of a tremendous sense of calm, or was there a sense of disappointment? Like, crikey, is this it?
Yeah, no, well, there was no question. It wasn't like this is it or I might. It was very much a case of the next thing on my to-do list is to die, because as the car, I'd used the parachute that hadn't stopped it, and the tyre had drawn it off the runway onto the grass, and it started to flip. And it was still doing 250 mile an hour at that point. And I just thought, well, I don't get out of this one. And there was no time, to be honest.
It was you're talking like nanoseconds, it's all going so quickly.
So I just thought, well, the next thing I do now is no, it wasn't, in that sense, it wasn't frightening.
Yeah.
There was no time to, oh no, or worry about my children or my family even.
Yeah.
It was sad, but quick. And then I came to in hospital however many days later, and I thought I was at a party.
You thought you were at a party?
I thought I was at a party for quite some time, and it took a couple of weeks before I'd accept that I'd had a crash. I thought I was in a hotel at a party, and I kept asking my wife Mindy if we could go outside onto the balcony and have a beer.
That's what you do at parties, isn't it?
Well, exactly right.
Yeah.
So it was...
it's a fair request.
I think it was reasonable.
Got you one as well.
Given that I thought I was at a party.
Yeah.
I wasn't. I was on life support, but I thought I was at a party. And no, it's a complicated job, and I do feel for anybody. I have actually since spoken to a lot of people with brain injuries of one sort or another, and it's amazing. I met a young lad actually at my daughter's school, the son of one of the fathers there, 17-year-old guy, and he had an accident skiing and sustained a brain injury in a very similar part of the head to where I did, and the parallel experiences were astonishing. And he's about a year and a bit back from where I am.
Yeah.
And so talking to him, as he's still grappling with, I think, or had grappled with the emotional stuff, because I lost all my emotional controls. I was at the mercy of whatever came along. So I could be chatting to you now and suddenly be really sad, or really scared, or really happy for no good reason. And he was grappling with that, and it was great to be able to say to somebody, mate, hang on, that does get better. It does, genuinely. That was really useful to have those conversations.
So your wife, Mindy, must have been incredibly... You got a very strong wife.
Yes, she is, actually, yeah.
To get through something like that.
I always say that one person, if I was going to be dropped in the middle of the desert with one piece of survival equipment, I'd take her, because she's tough.
Well, and also, I guess she's better looking to look at than May or
I'd take her in preference to either of those two, yeah. But then I'd equally take any of my dogs in preference. It's a long list.
Exactly.
A long list that
No,
she
that's
tops. But she's the top of that long list.
And do you ever... You know what men are like? If we have man flu, we make a lot of it. Now, you obviously, you are way up the scale from man flu. Do you ever, be honest now, have you ever used in the last couple of months as an excuse, say your wife's having a go at you about something, I told you to put the bins out, Mindy, it must be the... Have you ever used it?
Absolutely, yes. At every possible occasion. I tell you what's brilliant is, those parties that you go to some bash or a friend's house or whatever, and you see somebody, you know them.
Oh, it's
and
terrible.
then my wife was with me. Hi, Mindy, this is, and then all I have to do now is, this happens, and this does happen.
And then they feel sorry for you.
They feel terrible. Oh, Richard, don't be silly. It's me, Dave. How are you, mate? I'm fine. And so, yes, I've used it a lot. It's brilliant. That's the biggest gift the experience has given me. It's a great excuse.
There's always a bright side to something. And Top Gear, when's that coming back?
Well, we go into the studio Wednesday, goes out again Sunday. So it's a week this Sunday.
Oh, fantastic.
So the 20, whatever that is.
And you got some exciting stuff you already filmed? We've seen bits
No,
and
we
bobs of
decided
things.
to make it really boring
Just keep
this
it
one. I
health
think
and
we've done...
safety.
Yes, exactly. We've done too much messing about. So we're going to do really sensible, small, practical hatchbacks, a lot of diesels. A lot of talk about fuel consumption. And
Volvos.
about... Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a kind of an exciting... It is an odd word to use. It's an interesting time for the car industry and for us as car users. I don't like it when they call us motorists. You know when the government says, motorists are going to be taxed? Well, we're all motorists. What do you mean motorists? Like, that's a separate breed. Because cars affected, even if you're at home and your Meals on Wheels arrive in a van, then you're a motorist. You're involved in them. So we're all motorists. And it's a tough old time. Fuel prices, taxation on cars, values plummeting. I feel for people who, they had maybe a nice 1-2-year-old family car, Mondeo or something, and wake up one morning, it's worth 50p. Oh, no.
So will you have to change any of, is Top Gear still going to be in its kind of, because you set the show up now, is it still going to be in its kind of Top Gear bubble, with the supercars? Because it's a bit of sort of fantasy when you're watching the show as well.
Yeah, well, it's Sunday night, isn't it? You got school or work the next day.
Yeah.
You want to escape. So we will still be firmly at the cutting edge of cocking about. Absolutely. That's
good to hear that. Now, writing the book, was this like really hard work? Is it something you thought you could do quite easily? Was it good fun?
It was very hard work,
Yeah.
but it was tremendously cathartic. I mean, we went through a traumatic experience, and actually the business of setting it down, and that's all Mindy and I set out to do when we did it together. We both agreed, let's not try and be overly clever. Let's just tell the story of what happens to two people and to a family when an event like that impacts upon them, and obviously a lot of people have acquired brain injury or injury of one sort or another. Generally not so many through crashing jet-propelled dragsters. That's just idiots like me. But the whole business of how it affected us, how it unfolded, it was actually very cathartic, I think they say.
And also, it's the kind of book I think a lot of people are going to find it inspirational, because when a lot of celebrities write their books, people are interested in how they got to where they are, but yours is a sort of bit bigger than the Jordan story.
Yeah, it's mostly, it does touch on how I got, because I do get asked a lot about how did you get that job on Top Gear. Actually, they phrase it differently. They say, how did you get that job on Top Gear, which is slightly
and how did you, because I know sort of interviewed Jeremy before about his sort of background in local newspapers and stuff like that. What was your route to it?
His background wasn't really in local newspapers. He was crafted out of mud and bone.
A prehistoric man dug up.
It was actually, that's how it happened. That's just a smoke screen. It's one of those things created from just a lump of, primeval ooze. You can see it. Look at him. You can see it.
He's a genetic freak.
You can see it.
Yes, right.
It's clear. In my case, obviously I was a poet, and I ran a nunnery, and I rescued small animals.
Yeah.
I rescued a lot of puppies.
And you left all
of that behind.
What a guy.
I know. No, I started in local radio in 1897.
Oh, there's no just speaking hushed tones like that.
It was all made of wood.
Nothing wrong with radio.
No, it was started in local radio. It was brilliant. I'm not talking hushed tones. I did their reverent
What show
tones.
were you doing?
Well, my very first job
Yeah.
was on Jan 1st, I think it was, 1989. And it was doing a show called Last Week in North Yorkshire on BBC. Don't laugh, it was a big gig. BBC Radio York, and it was like a look back across the week. And I'd been working there already for a year or so, doing little interviews and making tea is what I've been doing a lot of.
It's a rite of passage for a lot of people to do what we do, yeah.
Exactly right, making tea. And then eventually, that was the first show that they'd put everybody on. And sure enough, my time came along, and the station manager said, Richard, my boy, I think you're ready to do Last Week in North Yorkshire. He had a Lancashire accent, obviously, don't know why. And I did, but it was quite frightening. First bit of live radio.
It's terrifying, isn't it?
Oh, man, it was... I mean, I'd been to college, but I'd studied photography and painting, so that wasn't much help, really. I sat there...
But that's what people should do at college.
Yes.
That's what you should be doing.
Well, that's not what I studied. I studied girls and drinking, obviously. But I was there ostensibly to do photography and painting, and ended up sitting in front... I have got a recording of it, and it is...
Do you still own it?
Yeah, it's very bad.
Have the public ever heard this?
No, and no, they're not going to.
Why
it's
not?
Because it's very, very
You
private.
cowards.
No, it's as private. There's a jingle plays off the back of the news, and then you hear a bit of a pause, and you can hear, ooh, and I was driving the desk thing myself, so I hit a fader to play Radio York, and then there's another pause, and you hear, hello, welcome to Last Week in North Yorkshire. And then the first record, which was Papa Was a Rolling Stone.
Hey, that's a great song.
Great tune. I always think about that now when I hear it. Papa Was a Rolling Stone. And I mistimed the talk up over, so I'm talking all over the place.
I do that every day. That's what all the great ones do.
I think that's what they're there for. I may have clipped them. But then I left the mic open. And so you hear, and those are the days you answered the phone. It's not like you cast of thousands here to answer your telephones and make your coffee.
Listen, you've been on radio too. It's not like that here.
Well, there's less food smeared all over the place. Other than that, it's the same sort of thing. And so you hear me leave the microphone open because you had to answer the phones yourself. So you hear sort of, Papa Was a Rolling Stone is going on, Papa Was it? And then you hear rattle. Hello? Yes? Oh, thanks for calling. Yes? Okay. You think that's the answer? Thank you. I'll call you. Oh, hang on. And then you hear the mic shut. And then you hear it open again at the back of the record, and me say, well, that was the first caller. You could be the next. Trying to cover it. Call us on the number, which I forgot.